It's a poison. That doesn't help the stress level. No, don't do it. Get a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. It's donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. Ooh, that's right. Welcome back, folks. I got to tell you, the weeks go by fast once we get in the season. Like, it threw me off a little bit, like with all the content and the writing and then this show and whatever we're doing and spacing it out and everything. And then we get into the season and it's just chaos. We go from 0 to 100 right away, getting back into the season. And then you're finishing up the A&M stuff. And before you know it, you're like, oh, wait a second. Notre Dame plays again in a couple days and they got to make sure they do the right things to further this thing down the road and take care of business. And it's a big challenge in a totally new way, a good way. This is the kind of challenge I like to think about, like to approach, and like to have to navigate, is the challenge of you won a big game in the national spotlight. How do you handle success? That's a lot different than the usual challenge of you lost a heartbreaking game in the last second in the big stage and whatever, and can this team fight back? And now you got 1 loss or 2 loss or 3 loss or whatever. Very different kind of challenge this week. And I think we're going to find out a lot about the maturity level of this group in this ball game. I'm telling you this right now. It's a great place to be, though. I would much rather have this challenge than the other ones that I've referenced and a lot of the positions Notre Dame's found themselves in recent vintage. This is your prime position, and there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to want to see and find out in this game. There's a lot you don't want to see. Listen, if you close your eyes for a second or two, play it in your mind, man. Toledo, Ball State, Marshall, Stanford, like there's a little bit of scar tissue with some of these similar type moments, but I think this one's going to be different for a couple different reasons we'll go over. There's a couple. I'm going to go against the grain on the normal philosophy on some of this stuff, I think, today. And one of the super chats that's already come in, I think I'm going to disagree with. And I understand why it's phrased this way, but I'm going to come back against it. I actually think the opposite is true. Here's where we're going to start, and then I'm going to get through the intro. We already got a good bank of calls, so I want to do this and get into it. Listen, you guys, I want to know, what are your goals for tomorrow? What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? What are your standards for this team in week 2 coming off that big emotional win? Oh, anybody who doesn't know what this is a reference to, $5 holler from Adam Dowling. How insane do you have to be to fake a contract signing? It's state news. Dr. John, good to see you here. I got to email you a question. Check your email later. Go golf and then check your email later. I got a couple things to ask you about for our date coming up here in a few weeks. So check your email later, Dr. John, and hit them few and hit them far, brother. Michigan, it appears Sherrone Moore never signed a contract. And what Adam is referencing is the staged photo of Sherrone Moore sitting there with the AD in this room, and they have all the papers out, and he's like signing it, and they're all smiles, and they have all the paper out, and it looks like they're signing a contract. They're not. It was all It's Michigan football brain disorder, you guys. It was all staged. It was all fake. They never even signed a contract because I think they're scared. What are they going to do if the NCAA hammers Sharon Moore and he's under contract long-term with Michigan? Where does that leave you? So that's what Adam's referencing is. It came out that he is operating without a contract and it never got signed. So that whole thing was fake that they did sitting down and whatever. That's what Adam's referencing. And the word on the street is, if you believe the Buckeye scoop, which has been pretty accurate on a lot of stuff, is that he may be getting nailed if the NCAA thing comes down the way that they think it's going to come down or whatever. He's in big, big trouble because there's evidence that he knew all this was going on and benefited from it. There's no way he didn't know. Give me a break. Harbaugh's the smartest one in this whole thing. Literally, I can't believe I'm saying it. The alien is the smartest person involved in the whole thing because even an alien from outer space knew when it's time to get out of Dodge, it's time to get out of Dodge. So even that lunatic knew. He's the smartest one of the whole group. Anyways. Oh, Texas. Come on, man. Everybody's ready. I'm telling you, everybody's ready, Texas. Like, you need to okay, Michigan's had this ride. Now they're getting in trouble. I need you to smoke them and we knock them down a peg and let them come back to reality. So now we're getting, that's what I need from them. All right, that's what I need. So, as always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. Appreciate that as well. Notifications on that way you alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it. Twitter. So, who's calling me? You hear those beeps? Mike? You're calling the wrong number, Mike. Twitter, search bar always Irish. Rant, always Irish Inc. Emails, always irishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. Ain't nobody going to blame you for that. The call-in lines. Looks like you already know them. 312-900-8815. Dialed up. Tell Uncle Johnny all you've heard and seen. Notre Dame fighting Irish football on SI. Read about it every day. We got so many articles, you can't even keep up. You can't even keep up with the amount of articles we put out in a day. It's unbelievable. We're pumping out the content. Patreon.com/always Irish. He the former captain. He the leading tackler. Mike Goolsby and myself breaking it all down. Oh, Mike dug into the film and you guys loved it. We did multiple episodes breaking down the film. Jared Clark and Mike, and then just Mike on the defense. And it was some of the best numbers the Patreon's ever done. Just him breaking down the success or failure of these plays and who did what or whatever. It's been beautiful. That is Mike's sweet spot. It's natural for him. He loves it. It's a joy to watch him break down that film. He's really good at it. Oh, boy. All right. So let's get through a couple of these super chats. We'll see where we go. I got a couple thoughts early about this one. $20 holler from my lawyer in Michigan, Eric. John, with this schedule, Indy needs style points whenever they could get them. This is where I'm going to push back a little bit. I almost see it the other way around. I think, even with this schedule, when you're Notre Dame and you have a 0 in the loss column, you just need to keep maintaining the 0 in the loss column and you're right where you want to be. I'm literally going against the grain on this one. When you have a 0 in the loss column and you're Notre Dame, you just need to keep the 0 in the loss column and you're going to end up in a great spot. That is why it was such a big deal to get that week 1 win. Now, if you want to talk about what happens with Notre Dame with a loss and then the schedule falls apart, I don't love that as much. You want to talk about a 10-2 Notre Dame? A 10-2 Notre Dame? With this schedule, I don't know if you're making the playoff field at all. If you look at a 10-2 Notre Dame with this schedule, I don't know if you're making the playoff field. Commander Luke says, no, John, Indy needs to stomp tomorrow. We're getting into this Pat debate again. Wanting something and needing something are two different things. I want to blow out too. You don't need it. I'm just telling you, you don't need it. You don't need it. When you have a 0 in the loss column in your Notre Dame, you don't need it. If you sleepwalk through half of this game and end up winning by 21 points or whatever, 17, you might complain about it a little bit, and then you're going to forget about it in a few weeks, and it's just another win. I'm just telling you. I know how it feels, but in this case, I think the practical I know totally how this feels. I want to blow out too. I want no hangover. I want to feel like these guys have no emotional. They're tired from the draining of last week, and we go out there and we're fired up in the crowds, happy to be back in Notre Dame, whatever. I want all that too. But when you have a 0 in the loss column in your Notre Dame, you just need to keep winning. It doesn't feel that way. Follow me. Callers, I'm already. I would feel, let me put it this, maybe this will make better sense. I would feel much more pressure for Notre Dame to have to blow out this team big time early if we had 1 loss than 0 losses. Because you would have not proven anything yet. Do you get what I'm saying? If you had lost last week, then I'm saying if you want to go 11-1 and make an argument for the playoffs, you better kill this team because you got to start proving something to the people that are watching this. And you didn't prove nothing by losing last week, so you got to prove something. You already proved something last week. Now you just got to keep winning. You proved what you need to prove. Now, does that mean old Johnny Boy's going soft on you? No, I don't want a hangover. Go out there and blow them out. Go out there and blow them out. But if we start a little slow, I'm not going to react the same way that I did when you start out a little slow against Marshall and you already are sitting on a loss. Do you feel me? The pressure to blow out that team was a lot more than this team because you were 0-1. And that's the other thing. This is the big point, okay, of this whole where Notre Dame is, and it's been occurring to me over this week, letting this all sink in, where we're positioned right now. This is the key. When Notre Dame has a 0 in the loss column, every single game Notre Dame plays is a huge game. Every single game is a huge game. Every game matters. Every game moves the needle because Notre Dame's nationally relevant. When Notre Dame has a 0 in the loss column, every game's a big game. Northern Illinois, whoever else, because what Notre Dame does affects the national landscape. Once you had 2 losses last year, it wasn't, you couldn't say that. And then you go lose to Clemson, it changed nothing because you were already out of the national. Does everybody get what I mean? You had those losses, and then you lost to Clemson. It changed nothing nationally. They had losses, you had losses. It didn't change nothing. It's off the radar because you're just not good enough to be on the radar. This is not that. Every game is a big deal when you have 0 losses. This is new territory. I'm proud and happy we're in to start out the year ahead of the curve instead of behind it. For once, we're in a prime position. We're not chasing. We're not saying, oh, we need 8 teams to lose, and then we can get back in position and do this. And if 5 teams lose here, and then we win 80-0 for the next 8 weeks, maybe we can move up. We're not doing any of that crap this week. Just keep winning. We're not doing any of this crap. Just keep winning your football games. All right? But I want to see the maturity level of this program. How do they start out against Northern Illinois? It's just going to be an interesting experiment. Those guys laid it all out on the field last week. They gave it their all. They executed. They got the win, whatever. Now you're coming home. So it's going to be 2 different things. Callers, hang with me. It's going to be 1 of 2 different things. We are physically beat up and tired from the trip and the emotional toll of the buildup and the physicality of that moment at A&M and everything. And it was so draining that we just don't have a lot in the tank to come back home and get fired up again for Northern Illinois. It's either going to be that, and you got to kind of wake up and fight through it and then win and whatever. It's just kind of an ugly day in South Bend. Or is it going to be this team's truly starting out at a different level and they're not messing around and the defense isn't messing around and it don't matter whether they're tired or not. That defense comes to play and knock your head around every single week and they're just going to come out here and crush you. So I don't know which it's going to be. But I do think this is going to be different. You guys, Commanders say that's not championship talk, John, blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking realistic. You don't have to like it. I'm giving you reality. You don't have to accept reality. But the one thought that I had in my mind this morning was when you're undefeated in your Notre Dame, you don't have to do as many style points. It's literally the opposite. I'm telling you, you do not have to like this opinion. It is literally the inverse of the way you would logically think about it. When Notre Dame's undefeated, you just got to keep winning and Notre Dame be just fine. Ugly or not, whatever the opponent, just keep winning and you're fine. That's why last week was such a big deal. You just got to keep winning. Keep that 0 in the loss column. That's what my eye is singularly focused on all year, is keeping that stupid donut, not a long john, a circle donut, the 0 in that loss column, and then we're good. John's gone wine and cheese, whatever. I have not. This is the BK mentality. It is reality. It's not a mentality. It is the reality. Okay. Now, I see people bringing up the Marshall situation. And John, this isn't 1988. Modern day ND needs style points. I disagree. I'm telling you, if this team goes undefeated, they're the 5 seed. It is the best seed in the new playoff and the best ride to give you a chance. If Notre Dame goes undefeated, it doesn't matter what these other teams do. They're going to be in that spot. It's just the reality. If you get a loss, everything changes, and the calculation changes. I'm telling you, just win all these games, and Notre Dame's going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine. And I'm not telling you have to like it. I want them to blow them out too. I'm just telling you it's not as big of a requirement as it would be if you lost a game. It's just not. I'm telling you, this is the way it goes. You don't have to like it. If you can't blast NIU, what are you doing? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Shutting down the program. If you can't beat Marshall, what are you doing? Shutting down the program? Now here, let me give you where this is different than these other moments and why I think we're not in for a sleep fest. Okay. Goblet drinker. No. Can you at least call it what it is? This is the chalice of football malice. Okay. That's the name. It is the chalice of football malice. All right. Here's the deal, Beezer. Let me see this. Okay, we got callers. I got to get to these people. Oh man, I don't want to come off soft here. I'm just telling you, I know how this stuff goes. And if Notre Dame has a 0, they're going to be fine. All right. People are bringing up Marshall and all this kind of stuff. Like what in the first home game coming back and it's sleepy or whatever and all this. Here's why I think it's going to be different. Think about the Marshall dynamic. What were you coming off of back home? You were 0-1 to start the year. Okay. So that means you get all the excitement of the summer. Oh, football's back. Notre Dame's back. This is awesome, bro. And then you start out 0-1 and you lose a national level game. And you're 0-1 coming back home. So you already had a loss. The excitement was down. You lost the biggest game on the schedule at that, to open up Ohio State, Freeman versus Old Mates, the whole thing. You lost. Okay. Then you're coming back home to Marshall, and everybody's just kind of like, okay, it's the first home game. Yay, pom-pom. It's the first home game, but we lost. So the energy was muted, and then the team kind of followed that. And then it was just a nightmare and whatever. Freeman was new, trying to deal with everything. The roster was shaky. And then you had the quarterback injury. Just a nightmare. Just an absolute nightmare. The worst. Does anybody think about what a horrible start the Freeman era had? Really, if you really thought about the run of crap that this all started with, playing a kind of a tough game, but losing at Ohio State, and then you come back home, play like dog poop against Marshall, and then the quarterback's hurt. Come on. Like, it was a horrible start for that Freeman era. Those first couple weeks, it could not, literally, you guys, it could not have started worse for Marcus Freeman. You lose your first game and then you lose your quarterback for the year the next week. You could not have a worse start to a coaching tenure than what Marcus Freeman had. I can't think of one. I literally cannot think of a worse start for a coach taking over a program than starting out 0-1 with the national loss and then losing your quarterback for the year in week 2. This is all different. I don't think it's going to be sleepy in South Bend or sleepless in Seattle or anywhere else. You know why? I'm going to tell you why. Notre Dame won a huge game. Most of America wasn't picking them to win. People are believing in what they see, and this fan base can't wait to have them come back home and welcome them back home. It's a totally different dynamic. It's a 100% totally different dynamic than any of that. There should be a natural energy of our fan base that is happy to get back to Notre Dame Stadium again for the first time since the blue and gold game, which was fun as can be, by the way. I enjoyed seeing you all. But this fan base is going to be excited to get back into Notre Dame Stadium, and they're going to be riding the energy off of what we did last week and want to support this team and be behind them and be loud and be proud. And you have a reason to be. So I think this team's going to be more in a better position to be ready for this moment, not have some huge hangover. It would not surprise me if it was a little sluggish to start, just coming after all of what went into last week and all that buildup. It is just hard to turn the page. You just had just the national spotlight all summer leading into A&M, and now you got Northern Illinois and nobody. It's like, it could be a little slow to start, but ultimately, I don't think you're going to have the same vibe. The fans are going to be engaged because they're happy about what they saw, and they're happy to be back in Notre Dame. I think you're going to be just fine. And here's the other thing I want to bring up too. If Notre Dame's defense is as good as everybody's saying Notre Dame's defense is, doesn't that not start sluggish? Like, when you have the concept of like, we started slow, we started sluggish, it's in my mind, that's more like the offense looks lame and goes 3 and out 3 times in a row and looks sloppy and slow and miscommunication, and you're just like not able to do anything against a lower level team, and you're punting the ball the first quarter. If you have this good of a defense, don't they show up every week? If you have this good of a defense that we think Notre Dame has, doesn't that show up every week? I just don't see where the defense is going to be like, oh, I guess we just don't have to fill our gaps and wrap up and tackle good this week. It's just Northern. I feel like that defense, if you have a good defense in football, I feel like it shows up every week. And if you don't, you suck every week. Like, I feel like the variance, the week-to-week variance we like to think about is more on offense than defense. I think that the defense should be ready to play. And here's the other thing, too. And I did a Patreon episode on this yesterday. I think this team has a little different vibe to it. I think this team is developing a little bit of an edge and a little bit of an attitude. And I think Marcus Freeman is the tip of that spear, and he started the turning of that attitude with what he did in the tunnel and firing up the guys and instilling confidence in them, and then they on the field. And I feel like there's a little bit of a different attitude, and there's a little bit of an edge growing with this particular team and the leadership. And I think that matters. And I think these guys have a belief in themselves that didn't exist previously in the Freeman era. And I think that's going to make a big difference in how they play this week. And I think that is going to prevent a sleep fest, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But but I literally had written down in my notes, when Notre Dame has a 0 in the loss column, they just need to keep the 0 in the loss column, and they're going to be just where they want to be. They're going to be fine. That schedule and who you're playing, and is it good enough? And then every week becomes, are you making a statement or just getting by? It doesn't mean as much to just get by when you already have a loss. So Notre Dame is in a perfect position. I would argue that 5 seed is the best seed in college football, maybe even better than the 1 through 4. Because, yeah, you got to play an extra game, but it's who you line up with down the road that's more beneficial. You follow me? Do you get why I'm saying that 5 seed may actually be more favorable than one of the buys? It's because that week 1, the first playoff game having to play or not. It's about who you're matching up with down the road. It's so much more favorable in the 5. That needs to be the goal. So I don't know. All right, a couple super chats. I'm back. Ryan, it'll come back. It's always something, man. I swear to God, I'm going to punch the internet in the face. The V1 rotate. The V1 rotate. I've been alive for 27 years. I've never seen Notre Dame vibe like this. Just keep winning. Don't overlook anyone. Don't let Florida State be the Clemson game this year. Yeah, it's you are in prime position right now. Keep winning your games. I'm telling you, this team has a little edge to it, you guys. They have a little feel. They got a little edge. They got a little attitude. And I'm here for it. I've been begging for Notre Dame to have it. I wanted Freeman to be the one that instills it. But you couldn't fake it. Like everything Kelly does is faked. It doesn't work at Notre Dame. You have to earn a reason to have an attitude or a little edge at Notre Dame or whatever. And this team's earning it. They did a good job week 1. Now just don't pee down your leg and take care of business at home. $10 holler from Ryan Elliott. Walkout song for the Irish, a Warriors call. That would get the home crowd jumping. I'm telling you what, man. I've watched that Freeman in the tunnel thing way too many times, and I'm not ashamed to say I love it. It gets me excited every time. The Chief with the $5 holler. Need to open up the offense in all games. If Freeman wants to squeak a 12-0 season by playing biblical offense to get destroyed in the playoffs, he's just BK again. I do kind of agree that's on the list of what we need to see this week. I didn't even get there yet. That's on the list of what we need to see. You got a lot of work you got to get done. Domer WAP with the $10 holler. Johnny, I stumbled upon how we could chat on your YouTube channel since it was set as upcoming. It was enjoyable to chat with others from AI Nation during the A&M game. You should promote that more. You know what? It's a really good point. It's a really good point that I didn't even think about. But when I logged in to do the post-game show, there was a huge chat thread already during the game of people on, even though I didn't go live yet, the episode was up in position to go live. And the chat's active, and you could people donate sometimes when they like what happened. People were writing down whatever, commenting back and forth. It was cool. It was cool to see that engagement. All right. Number 1 is I'm a little upset if people are going to say I'm soft. For my opinion, I'm telling you, undefeated Notre Dame's fine no matter what it looks like, although I want it to be as impressive as possible. But you literally have to do less impressing resume stuff with 0 losses than more. Once you have a loss, you have to more impress. So what do we need to see this week? To the callers, and you guys can have the episode, okay? We got, a half dozen callers already. You're all coming right up. The O-line is a work in progress. This should give them a perfect opportunity to gel together and a physical matchup that benefits them and let them settle in a little more rather than the chaos of last week. Now, they handled it the best they could. Jay Carr, undefeated and don't care what it looks like. What are we doing? I'm there again. John, I disagree strongly with your mentality. There are wants. You guys are confusing wants and needs. This is the pat argument I had. You're confusing wants and needs. I want Notre Dame to win every game 50-0 and blow these guys out 50-0. What I need to position us for the playoff is to just keep the 0 in the loss column. Again, it's the same argument I had with Pat. I'm losing my mind. There are wants and there are needs. Wants, impressive blowouts. Need, and when I say need, I mean, what does the team have to do to get the 5 seed? Keep the 0 there. Whatever it looks like, keep the 0 there. You're the 5. I'm telling you, that's how this goes. There are wants and there are needs, and they are not always the same thing. I want what kind, Phil? There are wants and there are needs. I want a blowout. I want no hangover. I want you to win 60-0, and then you're awesome because you beat the crap out of Northern Illinois and you had no hangover. I want that. What I need is you to end this season with 0 in the loss column, and you're going to be in great prime playoff position. Great prime playoff position. John wants to return to the Kelly era. You guys are really not, you're going out of your way to not understand what I'm saying. There are wants and there are needs. There are. You have way more of a need to impress once you have a loss on the schedule than you do without one. That is just a fact because you have ground to make up. You're playing, understand me, you're playing from behind at that point. When you have one loss, you're playing from behind. You must impress to climb back up. When you're ranked number 5, all you got to do is not lose, and you're in a good spot. I don't understand why that's so hard for people to get. Wants and needs are 2 different things. I want you to blow everybody out. I need you to just keep winning. John be like, winning is hard. It's full circle, just like Kelly's here. You guys are intentionally, what I'm saying is so logically, clearly accurate and true. It's so clearly accurate and true what I'm telling you. And I think you know it, but everybody's used to me being this meathead. You got to win every game by 8. We're not, you know what it is? We're not used to operating from this position ahead of the curve. That's what it is. And that's what we're not used to what it's like to operate ahead and not behind of whatever's going on in the country. It is literally the opposite of you're undefeated, you need more style points. It's literally the exact opposite of that is the reality. Wants and needs. It's the same thing I had the argument with Pat about. Don't confuse the two. There's wants and there's needs. The O-line is a work in progress. You need to keep gelling, and you don't have to be perfect to win this week and everything. You have some more leeway there to try things out, and everything isn't total chaos with your hair on fire for 4 hours. So I want to see the O-line continue to work. Number 2, the offense overall is a big work in progress. That offense needs to get a lot better. If you want Notre Dame to get in the playoff and then do something in it, it can't just be that defense. This offense needs to grow light years from where we saw it till after the year. Does everybody understand that? This is not like, hey, just do what you did week 1 and we're good to go and we're golden going into the playoffs. Psych your mind, bro. No, the offense is nowhere near good enough right now. There, is everybody happy? Am I being negative enough? The offense is nowhere near a finished product, nowhere near where it needs to be to compete in the playoff. It is a work in progress, big time. Number 3, the passing game is the biggest work in progress. Biggest work in progress. Okay. Jack says, I'm buying a chalice for tomorrow. Thanks for the inspiration. It's the chalice of football malice, and I love it. Okay. So that passing game is a definite work in progress. And you need to figure out if you could throw the ball down the field. And I understand, I don't even think that was on the menu last week. SPF, really tough break for Emory, man. I feel bad for that guy. SPF's our resident LSU fan. Welcome to the show. I feel really bad for that kid. That is his second ACL in a row. I think it's the opposite leg as last time. And I feel bad for the kid. Fighting back after an ACL and then having another one. That is a brutal hit for him personally. I feel bad for LSU on that. This passing game, I don't even think it wasn't even on the menu last week to do some drop back and wait 5 seconds for guys to get down the field and then Leonard's exposed and all. It wasn't even on the menu. You got to work on that this week. So you got to get down the field and see who can get down the field and get open even against Northern Illinois. Your Notre Dame, if you want Notre Dame to make moves and get in this playoff and win a couple rounds, you're going to have to be able to throw the ball around. You're going to have to be able to throw the ball around. We didn't see that last week because of the nature of the matchup. This is a different dynamic this week, and I want to see them throw the ball. I need to see them throw the ball. You should be able to run the ball and win by a lot and control the clock against these guys. I imagine they're going to be undersized up front and all that. You should be able to run the ball and control this game and win it that way at home. I don't want you to do that. You have things you need to work on. So if you're as good of a team as number 5 in the country, I need you to be able to throw the ball around and work on some things. Can you get open down the field against Northern? I need to see it, and they need to be it. You feel me? What gives me confidence is I think last week was the toughest conditions you're going to have all year to play a football game for Notre Dame in the regular season. I genuinely mean that. That is the number. Callers, we're coming to you. It's going to be your show the rest of the way. I genuinely mean that. I was thinking about this last night. What encourages me the most about everything we've seen and where Notre Dame's position right now in the moment is I think we just survived the toughest dynamic when you consider the talent, the environment, the conditions, the weather, the noise, all of it, the matchups within the game, their D-line and our front we're a little anxious about. I feel like Notre Dame survived what will be the toughest circumstances by far they're going to face this year, and they survived it week 1 right off the rip. This team was prepared physically. They were prepared mentally. They were prepared emotionally. Their leaders had them prepared, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. And you got to give everybody credit. And Marcus Freeman, it's been a rocky 2 years. People starting to doubt him and his tenure, which way it was going to go. This was a huge test for everybody to see. Can he prepare a team for this moment and emerge and whatever? And they did it. They did it. I'm happy for Freeman. Lauren Landau, welcome to South Bend. What a great job that guy's done. He knew what to expect at first. When you get that guy in here and he's taking over the strength and conditioning and he's doing things a little different, heavy on the analytics, heavy on the technology, heavy on the modern medical science end of this. I got to tell you, man, great job. Those guys looked fantastic. We were in better shape than the home team. In all those conditions everybody was worried about, we were in better shape than the home team. It's super impressive. That is a job well done. It's a job well done. You're off on this one. And I was with you versus Pat. This is not the same. Yes, if we go undefeated, then no one cares how we beat NIU. But if you drop one down the road, which is likely, then they're going to start going back and looking at how you did against. I guess you could make that argument, but I'm more of the opinion that if they got this week 1 win, they're much more likely to go undefeated than anything else. And if we would have lost last week, I would think you're like more in line for 9-3 than 11-1 and 10-2. I think it was that big. I think it was that big of a swing to where if you won that one, you feel like 12-0 is a good percentage likelihood. And if you lost it, you were looking at it being, I just had doubts you could lose that one and then not lose again just because of the vibe and the emotion of it and how heavy that is and the pressure that would be on this entire program if you had lost that game, you would have to play with that weight and that monkey on your back all year. So I don't know, you guys. I just think this team's going to be ready. I don't expect that sluggish start. The fan base is going to be pumped up. The players should be pumped up. I think there's a different level of – here's the final thing, and then we'll go to the callers. There is a different kind of level of confidence I'm seeing from the team themselves. And I don't know how much you guys value that or how you measure the value in that, but I see a lot of value in that. I think there's a different level of leadership and confidence in this team themselves. And I think you're going to see that. You guys can rip me all you want, but I know what I'm talking about. And there are wants and there are needs, and you're confusing the two. And that's fine. You could do that all you want and do the tough guy thing. We need to kill everyone. You could do that all you want. It's the difference of wants and needs. And you guys are blending the two. And that's fine. You're entitled to do that and do the tough guy thing, whatever. I'm talking about the practical realities of how this plays out. If Notre Dame's undefeated, they're going to be just fine no matter what any of the games look like. You don't have to like that. And you know what else, too? Knowing me all these years and the way that I yell about everything and how intense I am, it is surprising. Yeah, the tough guy thing, saying we got to win every game by 80 or it's not good enough. That's what I mean by the tough guy thing. Conundrum. That's what I mean. That you're sitting there going, we got to win every game by a blowout or it's not good enough this year. You don't need that. Wants versus needs. Reality versus the practicality. That's what I mean by the tough guy thing. Saying we got to blow everybody out or it isn't good enough. That's just not, it's practically not true. It's factually not accurate. AK, my brother, $10 hour from Florida. Do we need Leonard running and gaining for 3 to 4 quarters to secure blowouts for style points and risk getting hurt? No, we need to secure wins comfortably but not take unnecessary risks. That's another really, really good point. The other thing I'll ask you guys, if you're all saying that we need to blow everybody out, do you want Riley Leonard out there nonstop? That's how you pile it on people, right? Never take your starters out? I'm sorry, man. I'd be much more worried. John, this is weird. Not used to this passive snowflake football talk. Not sure what to think. I'm just giving you the facts. You don't have to like it. I'm giving you the accurate facts of the situation. You don't have to like it. You are confusing wants and needs. There is a practical reality of where this team is at right now because of what they did week 1. It's changed the calculation. It just has. Win your games, have no losses, and Notre Dame will be fine. Wants versus needs, baby. Wants versus needs. I want the blowout, just like Pat. The whole argument with Pat was, do we need to just sneak by week 1 or do we need to blow them out to make a statement? Whatever. Well, you didn't really blow them out and everybody feels pretty good about you and you're getting a lot of credit, right? It ended up just fine. Seriously, with that mentality, you should have people in here saying, John, we didn't beat A&M by enough. I'm not impressed. I'm not happy. It wasn't good enough. If all you tough guys want to maintain that angle that you're pushing against me right now, you should be messaging me and calling me saying the A&M win wasn't good enough because we didn't blow them out by enough. Right? I'm telling you, don't confuse wants and needs. 937, what's going on? Everybody on hold, you're going to be on the air coming up in the first bank. What's going on, 937?
Hey, John, long time, no talk. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm fighting my own battle.
Good. Hey, I have to say, I'm so happy for you this week. It's I think this is like the greatest week that you've had in a long, long time as far as football, and now it's a short week with Illinois coming up, and very happy for you. And a couple of quick points. My first point is I totally agree with your sentiment. As long as Notre Dame keeps winning, that's all that matters, right? So But I will say this: if you do have one loss, and Ohio State had one loss a few years ago, and the only way that they were really able to get in is that every other game they had this saying or this thing in their pocket where they said, "We won every other game by double digits." Well, you won your first game by double digits, so if you just win every game from now on by double digits, you always have that in your pocket. So if it's 10 or more, that's all you need, and then you can say we won every other game by double digits, and that carries weight with the committee because they actually talked about how Ohio State won every other game by double digits.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
just a thought.
Listen, I get it. Pat's saying beating NIU by 3 scores is the need because what kind of playoff team will it be if we can't? It's week 2! You guys are bugging me. It's week 2. You have 3 months to develop and get better at everything you're doing. It isn't all the end-all be-all week 2 at home against Northern. Back off. Relax. Jesus. Back off and relax. The playoff doesn't start week 3. You have all sorts of time. Since you won week 1, you have all sorts of time to develop this team into what you need it to be. The playoff doesn't start week 3. Anyways.
And don't worry, Notre Dame is going to beat Northern Illinois by more than. This is a different team, you can tell. And I'll say this too. Did you watch AJ Hawk and Kurt Herbstreit on the Pat McAfee show this week? They were talking about how Notre Dame's athletes are looking more like, a legit team's athlete. So the other thing I think Notre Dame needs to look at, and I think if I'm a fan of Notre Dame, another thing which is a need. This is, I believe, the need is actually you guys need to start rooting for Texas A&M to keep winning.
Yeah. And you know what, dude?
I think that's a need.
You know what else? Their schedule is not really that tough. For an SEC schedule, if you look at what they have, I think they're going to have that one loss riding through like half the year at least. I am not that, it is not the toughest schedule by them in the next month and a half. I think they're going to be in a good position. And what I also wonder is, I wonder how much they could ride that defense because their offense I have questions about, and that quarterback needs to play better. But I wonder how far they could ride that good defense to wins in the SEC. I wonder that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I was on Twitter. I saw you commented on comment. People were complaining they have Miami ranked ahead of Notre Dame. Guys, they're gonna. Texas A&M plays Florida in 11 days. When Texas A&M beats Florida, and it looks really convincing, which I think is probably going to happen, they're going to flip those two teams. Don't worry about rankings right now. That's another thing. You don't. And I'll say this: don't worry about rankings. It's going to work itself out. And if Notre Dame is going to be undefeated, and this is kind of my final point. I'm really hoping for this because it tells me Michigan didn't have a good year. But at the end of the season, I am really hoping that game day is at an undefeated Notre Dame versus I think it'll be a one-loss USC at the end of the season, and that's going to be the game of the week for the final.
I'm telling you that. Okay, so that means that you got USC running through most of that Big Ten schedule in their first year with the travel, with all the changes, with the tougher week-to-week grind than they would ever have out west. That would be impressive. Miller Moss was impressive, way better than I thought he'd be. Obviously, I enjoyed what they did to my man Kelly. Whatever, but I got to see them. I want to see USC navigate that week-to-week Big Ten schedule, and I'll get a better feel of what I think of them.
Yeah, so I think USC, they're kind of fortunate in their schedule. I think their only loss, in my opinion, is they got to go to Happy Valley in October, and I think they'll lose that game. I think the rest of the way, their next hardest game is Michigan. I think Michigan doesn't have a quarterback. I'm not even sure they have a coach. Michigan's the ultimate paper tiger, in my opinion. Everything they have is fake.
Yeah,
everything.
It's true. Even their coach's contract is fake. It's not even real. It's just not. It's literally not.
It's all a lie. It's all lies.
Yeah.
It's literally a house of cards that's falling right now. It's glorious. But so I think that's their next hardest game. I think they'll win that game. and I think they play Wisconsin at home. I think they'll beat Wisconsin. I don't really think they avoid Oregon, and so I think they'll only have one loss if they keep up where they're at right now. I don't know. I think at worst they'll be 10 or they'll be 9-2 when they meet Notre Dame. So I'm thinking, just looking at their schedule right now. So and so the other thing is that guys too, the committee, you're in the season. What are the two most important weeks of the season? Week 1, and then your rivalry week, the final week. Those are the two most important weeks of the season for most teams. And I'll tell you why. Because if you come out and you play good, you play a good opponent in week 1, that carries you for most of the season. And then when your final game, when you win that one, that cements it. And so Notre Dame has the perfect opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and especially
Yeah,
and especially when you were already in the top 10 entering week 1 and you get a big win, that cements like your ranking in a really good spot too, like early. And then if you can maintain and then move up or whatever, it's a really, really good spot. And Notre Dame's just not used to operating from ahead of the curve. So they got to do the right things here, get better every week. There's a laundry list of things they need to improve on against Northern Illinois and whatever. But I do think I'm standing by what I said because I know it's true. So everybody can disagree with me all you want.
Hey, and then the one last thing, and I think this is something that people got to think about. And I think having that 5th seed is, for Notre Dame is the best thing possible. And I'll tell you why, because you don't have to play after that USC game. You don't have to play another big game. You get a few weeks off and then you get to play at home.
Yep.
Ohio State, after they play, if they make it in the top 4, let's say, they have to play Michigan, which is going to be a gigantic game for all the emotion in it. And then they got to play that next week's game, which is now going to be a top 10 game. And I'd much rather have a couple weeks off and then play that game, build some coaching behind that, rather than going into a game and then possibly losing it and not even getting in the top 4. So I think that's it. I think personally, I would much rather have the 5th seed than having to play that game the next week. But that's it for me. I just wanted to say this is a great show, John, and the season is already starting off to an awesome start.
Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, it is exciting. And for the Notre Dame end, we're just not used to starting out hot and from a position of leverage, with something we can hang our hat on. So it's changing the calculus here. It's much more exciting to think about this kind of track for the year than chasing from behind. And I really appreciate you touching base.
No problem. Have a great weekend and go Buckeyes. And I hope Notre Dame wins.
There you go. Have a good one, man. Thanks. Take care. You guys are giving me a hard time. I need a way to note that he's the Buckeye guy, but he was on Old First. He was on Old First. We're going to keep going through the callers. I'm not talking about the national narrative. I'm talking about state of the program, and a defensive struggle against NIU doesn't give me hope that they could get it right when you can't against your weaker opponent. I don't even know what that means. A defensive struggle. What does that mean? That we can't move the ball against Northern? Like I'm not even going to be impressed. Listen, if anybody has any doubt of where my mind is or whatever, I'm pretty sure the score I logged for Sports Illustrated was 41-13, 38 or 41-13 is the score that I logged into the Sports Illustrated system. And if you're thinking 13, you got this defense giving up 13 to these guys. They did that last week to that good team, and you got them doing that to this team. I think maybe they get a score late when we have our third string defensive guys in there really late. I think they get a score. That's how I came up with that score. Otherwise, I got Notre Dame's defense holding them to 7 or 10 points, somewhere in that region. So I got Notre Dame blowing them out. I think I picked 41-13, 38 or 41-13. I know I had them with 13 with 7 of those coming late when we have third string guys in or whatever. That's what I have. I'll even go this far. You want to debate me about expectations or whatever? Follow me here. If you guys want to give me a hard time about my expectations for this or whatever, here's what I'm going to say. If we run the ball for 300 yards against Northern and control the clock and win by whatever, 28-3 or whatever, because we're doing that, not impressed. You're not getting the work done I need you to get done. Like, let's really do this. Everybody who's up my backside today, let's really go. Let's walk this out. Everybody that's riding me, getting on my nerves. Let's ride this out. Notre Dame wins 31-3 or whatever tomorrow, and they run the ball for 340 yards, and Love and Price are doing back spinneroonies, and they're flipping upside down, and they're running around and doing all that. Oh, wow. Awesome, bro. Not impressed. I need you to throw the ball around tomorrow. I need you to throw the ball around tomorrow. I'm not interested in you pushing these guys around in the run game that weigh half of what you weigh. I need you to show that you could get this passing game in a lot better spot, because to survive in the playoff, you're going to have to throw the ball down. You're going to have to throw the ball down the damn field. So if you want to talk about expectations and you want to give me a hard time for my accurate, factually true take that you're all willfully going against just to do it, that's where this changes. You need to throw the ball. I need to see that these guys could get open down the field, and I don't care whether it's NIU, SIU, what is it? CSI? I don't care what it is. You got to show that you could throw the ball down the field. I need to know that Notre Dame, I need to know that, one, I need to know that those guys the receivers can do it. And I also need to know Riley Leonard can hit him in stride. But this isn't the game that I'm going to be impressed by you piling up running yards. That was last week. Now, I need you to show that you could throw the ball down the field. That is probably going to be the weakest part of the offense, and I need to see it get better. And I know you don't have Jordan Faison or whatever. You got to deal with it, and you got to do enough to throw the ball around and do it. V1 rotate, $10 hour. OSU, Oregon, Penn State all play each other. Georgia, Bama, Ole Miss, Texas all play each other. Miami, Clemson, Florida State all play each other. Notre Dame keeps winning. They could be number one by October. Yeah, by number one, you mean number 5. It's the funniest thing in the world. Watch Notre Dame go 12-0. All these teams beat each other up the way they're talking about. Notre Dame's number 1 at 12-0, and they're number 5. Might be the best thing that could happen. Might be the best thing that could happen. Commander, John's hoping we can win against Ball State style. You guys are choosing to not understand my point. And that's fine. It is up to you guys how you want to interpret. You're choosing to not accept my statistical fact point. And that's fine. There are wants. And there are needs. And those are not the same thing. Your wants and your needs are not the same thing. I'm having the same deja vu, frustrating discussion that I had a month ago. And what that turned into was some big debate that I had fun with on my show. But what that turned into a couple days later is a debate with a local South Bend radio host. And then that went public. And then that turned into a big deal. And then that turned into a big thing that I got blowback for. What do you... It's unbelievable. But if you're thinking that I'm okay with like just getting by or whatever, no, man. I take it seriously when I have to log a public national, a pick that goes national on College Football Talk and on Sports Illustrated. I got 38 or 41-13. Oh, Tom, am I making sense? I got Tom. 574 is coming up. Everybody on hold's coming on the air. 773, what's going on, Tom? Good morning.
Hey, Jed, I don't want you to lose it this morning. I'm with you, brother. Listen, it's pretty simple. I think you're right in your last comments that they have to throw the ball. But what I'm looking for is a balanced attack tomorrow. If they come out with a balanced attack, then I don't give a shit what the score is. I really don't. If they're balanced attack and they're dropping where and they're scoring with the opportunities that they'll have, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
I really will. But I got to tell you, I don't overlook Northern. I've seen a lot of these kids play. Most of these kids, the nucleus of this team is from the Chicago area, public league, Catholic league kids. These are the kids that got passed over by Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Purdue, and they wind up at Northern. And I'm telling you, they're coming in with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to use that. And, let's face it, Notre Dame is not an intimidating place to play. I can think of 10 instances in my life of all the hundreds of games I've been to there where it's been loud in that stadium.
Yeah.
And I don't see it being loud. So those kids are not going to be intimidated. They're coming in with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be pissed off. Now,
Tom, time out now. I want to ask you, based off what you think of this team and the coaching staff after seeing them perform in 1 week from the Notre Dame end, I want to ask you, how do you think Notre Dame's going to enter this moment? What do you think they're going to do to enter this moment?
I think they're going to have to turn up the notch. They know. So, for instance, coaching is all about trust, right? So they had a tough environment in which to play last Saturday. I mean, the people I talked to that were at the game, they said it was deafening. And it was all night until the fourth quarter when Notre Dame finally took ahead. They said they'd never been in an environment like that. So the coaches installed a game plan that they knew they could win with. Get it done, and I was really happy. Tomorrow's a different ball game. I think you're going to see them stretch the field and try and take the top off the defense. I really do. And that will open things up even more for the running game. I'm anxious to see what they need to clean up. Obviously, the offensive line, but Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, that the blocks that Cooper Flanagan missed. And even Reardon, when he had the chance, they've got to clean that stuff up because those guys, they play the same defense at Northern as Texas A&M did. That 4-5-2, and they come slanting off the ends. They got to clean that stuff up. But other than that, I think Notre Dame they'll be fine.
Yeah,
and Tom, it's Northern. They got to win.
Tom, you're a long time Chicago Notre Dame guy, long time. You've seen a lot of really good Notre Dame football renditions of the program. Here's where I'm thinking.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm looking forward to see, we want to see the passing game and the O-line continue to develop and them continue to fine-tune their defensive rotations and what guys and what packages they're going to do. I love all that. I want to see all that. I feel, just from week one, I feel like this team has a little bit of confidence, some leadership, a little juice to them. And I think that there's a different vibe starting to build off of the confidence of justifiable, not overconfidence, a justifiable amount of confidence that they gained from what they were able to do last week. And with that combined with the home crowd energy, excited to be back in Notre Dame for the first time of the year and have all the momentum and the excitement of last week, wanting to support these guys and welcome them back. I would be surprised if Notre Dame sleptwalk because I just think there's a different juice in the building because of last week. I believe that.
No, I do too. I don't think you'll see a letdown. So, when you were making the analogy about Marshall a couple years ago, look, remember the running back from Marshall? 6 months previous to the game, he was bagging groceries. They found him in the parking lot. He came and run roughshod at Notre Dame. They were not prepared for that game. This is a total different coaching staff. Marcus Freeman has definitely matured, and I'm not a big Marcus Freeman fan going into the season. I'm going to admit that. But he has shown me that he's even got that attitude, that extra juice. I think he's more comfortable in his role, and he's got a great supporting cast. That is the most important. Plus, if you look at the upside variables of that offensive talent and the skill positions, they're continuously going to get better. I've seen it in all the really good to great Notre Dame teams in the last 40 years. They don't start off really well, but if they can just keep putting brick on top of brick and building that offense, I think they're gonna be fine. And I don't care what the national pundits think and the polls. Every year I say this. I wish people would just stop worrying about the polls until Halloween weekend. That's when it starts to matter. You got 5-6 weeks left in the season. It's good to talk about. I get it. It's banter, but I have turned off all the national pundits except for a few. I like Joe Klatt. I think he's pretty spot on with a lot of the things that he says, especially when he knows the game. But the rest of these guys, they've got a slant. I turn them off like I did for the game. I can't take Fowler. Herbstreit doesn't bother me as much, but I can't take Fowler out. So I turned off the broadcast. I turned off the sound, and I listened to the Notre Dame radio broadcast. I'm a happier man for it. I wish more people would do that.
Yeah, that's a good move. That is a good move.
It's a much more enjoyable way to watch the game. It really is. But I think they're going to be okay tomorrow. Yep. I would take a 28-3 victory tomorrow.
I'm telling you.
As long as they've got a balanced attack.
I would be surprised if we sleepwalk in this moment just from the energy boost that the whole, even in the midst of being physically a little beat up or worn out after last week and all that went into it, I would still be surprised if Notre Dame came out that sluggish, because I just think there is a energy right now with around this fan base and this team that we're not used to. And I think they're going to ride that right into Notre Dame Stadium. The home crowd's going to be happy to see us. I would be surprised. People are saying 28-3 is not good enough. 28-3, they don't like. It's got to be 50. It's got to be, it's got to be 50-0. I like it. Give me 50-0 then. Fine, people. I'll take that.
Yeah, well, I understand the mentality of the Notre Dame fan. I am that fan, but it's baby steps. Even though they're playing Northern, let's just stay healthy and get there. I'm anxious to see if they incorporate this KK Smith. I guess he's supposed to be an absolute burner. I'd love to see him get in a small role and let him run a fly route and score a long touchdown tomorrow. Just to put the nation on notice that, hey, this is a different team and we've got speed. Yeah. I don't know if it'll happen tomorrow. I'd love to see it.
Yeah,
and I think you can get away with that with Chris Mitchell and with Bo Collins. I think they're gonna. It's a different team. And when I saw that happen last Saturday night, I saw how they're put together, and it really speaks to how screwed up that wide receiver room and coach was last year at Notre. Thank God they're in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Wow, was that bad?
But man, Tom, I got to tell you, man, I was so happy for guys like you. I know what that win meant last week to a guy like you that's seen a lot of football, and you've seen and can remember some old battles with Notre Dame and A&M better than somebody in my age bracket can. So there's a little bit of A&M history there too. But man,
without a doubt,
Tom, it was exactly what the program needed, and Freeman needed it. The fans needed it. The players needed it. The recruiting operation needed it. And I gotta tell you, Tom, it's very, very rare since I've been doing Notre Dame content that I could come on the air and did exactly what I needed them to do. And it's so rare that I almost can't believe I'm saying it. And that's a sad place to be, but they did exactly what I needed them to do. And I'm so proud of the whole operation.
Yeah. And it finally puts the BK dust behind us as well. That's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
It was
but man,
the weekend and having him lose the game, and then that
good for Freeman. Good for Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman needed this.
Agree.
He knew he needed it. That energy he showed in the tunnel to me came off as him letting out. You know what it was, Tom? A bunch of frustration. It was a bunch of frustration in the first 2 years and everything that didn't go right. And he knew that the next 3 hours was that team's chance to change that narrative. That's what it was, Tom. He was feeling that frustration of the first 2 years and how hard he's worked and tried to do it on the straight and narrow path and not getting the results he want out of it. And everybody doubting him and not seeing what he did behind the scenes and all the work and everything. And he knew the only chance you had the next 3 hours on that field, and I'll be damned if his team didn't go do it. I'm proud of everybody involved.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You know, it's funny, too. I don't know where I was in the last few days in the chats. I can't remember, but I started seeing people talking about a contract extension for Freeman. It's their Marcus Freeman hate or mistrust isn't even a month old. And they're already talking about a contract. Some of these fans just drive me up the wall because they're so unrealistic and they don't understand the nuances of what. That is the most unique coaching position in all of sports. And I can't imagine what that pressure's like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good for that, man.
That kind of national. Yeah, that's why I say I think everything's an uptick. Baby steps, they're going to be okay. I really believe. I hate to look forward, but I'm chomping at the bit for the Louisville game.
Yeah, I know.
I can't wait for them to come back.
It's going to be a big one.
That's where they need to step up. And really punch them out on national TV.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Tom, really, really appreciate you jumping in, man, and have a good day. Have a good weekend in the beautiful city of Chicago. Okay, my friend. Thank you.
Absolutely. Go Irish.
There you go, buddy. Everybody on hold, you're going to be up on the air. Everybody. Pat says it's a point that doesn't need to be argued. Of course, they need to win. They also need to show improvement from last week in the areas they struggled. 100% agree. There is nothing to disagree. That doesn't contradict what I said at all. I totally agree with that. The things that are on my list, the biggest things on my list are, I'm not sure I learned much at all about Notre Dame's passing game in week 1. It wasn't on the menu, you guys. It just wasn't on the menu. They were not going to risk Riley Leonard getting crushed on 4-second, 5-second drop back plays that take time to develop. They were just not going to do it. I need to see them go out of their way to work on the passing game this week. Does that make sense? You could probably just run the ball and dominate the line of scrimmage against a lesser defensive line and run the ball and do enough to win. This is a moment where I think you need to try some things. And you need to figure out who can get open, what your real game speed is like. I hear about practice and with no helmet and pads or whatever. Can guys get behind guys? I want to see it. And I'll feel a lot better about this team if I see Riley Leonard throwing the ball around with accuracy, hitting guys. We got KK Smith, whoever it is, getting behind people. I'll feel a lot better about it, even if it's against Northern. If we don't try some things, we're undoing the goodwill of last week. Again, Pat, I'm with you on that. Andrew, maybe it's just for me. You're saying I wouldn't show anything like that until Louisville. For me personally, I'll feel a lot better that this team is becoming more well-rounded if I see them throw the ball successfully tomorrow. Does that make sense? Andrew, I get your point. There's certain past things I'm not going to show till Louisville. I get that. But you got to show me a little more with the consistency of the passing game this week is what I'm saying for me to be comfortable about. Yeah, that's exactly what Pat's saying too. I'm with you guys on that. I'm totally with you guys on that. So I don't know. Let's see what else we got here. And then I'm going back to the phones. You guys are finally Notre Dame brings my blood pressure down and you guys are trying to bring it back up. Finally, for once. Do you see my hair? Best it's ever looked in years. I'm telling you, it's growing back. like a chia pet in 1991. My hair's growing back. My blood pressure's going down. Commander, keep John away from the team's ear with this just survive crap. It is twisting my point so much, and I'm not going to let it raise my blood pressure. I know you guys know what I mean. I know you know what I mean. Wait a second. Freeman doesn't know how to handle success. He has a track record of getting big wins and then laying an egg. Think about Stanford and Clemson. But now, wait a second. Crying. How big is a big win? How big is a big win? I don't think any of these moments have been Notre Dame's undefeated, like ready to win. There's a different vibe this year. It's just a different vibe this year. I think Notre Dame, I think some things have changed. And I think this team has a confidence now they didn't have before. 574, what's going on? Welcome to the show. I got a 918, a 224, 219. You're all coming up. 574, give me some more.
Hey, John. It's Wine and Cheese. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to see Notre Dame football again, man. I would love to know kind of the theme of the day is what people are expecting to see tomorrow and what you need to see tomorrow. And are those things different? What do you expect that's coming our way?
So I hear your argument about just winning the game, but I also hear what everyone in the chat is saying about winning big. I actually do think there should be an emphasis on winning big in this game, especially proving that we do have a passing attack. Because just looking beyond a little bit, I mean, I don't want to overlook NIU, but next week we have Purdue. And if we can't prove this, this next game against NIU that we have a balanced offense, Purdue actually is a team. They always play us really tough. They're always a little bit gritty. For some reason, they like to come at us a little more than other teams. But if we can't show that we have a legitimate passing attack, we might actually have a stumbling block in Purdue. If we don't work on some of these things and put up a lot of points by showing that we have a balanced pass.
All right, now what if I say this? Now let's blend this. Now I get what you're saying. Pounding the ball in the running game against a smaller defensive front would be a way to, maybe win the game by a lot and comfortably and easily and control the ball the whole time and whatever. You could do that. If you decide to work on the passing game, it may not go as smoothly right away. And you may have to punt the ball more than you want because you're trying to throw the ball around and it isn't going so smooth and you're working on it. You're getting more work done against an inferior opponent doing that against Northern Illinois that will prepare you for the future, but it may mean you look less impressive tomorrow than if you just do what you think you could do and outsize and push them around up front. How do we marry those two for the people that want to improve for Purdue and Louisville or whatever, but you also want to blow them out by the most? Running the ball over an undersized line might be the best path to the score. Could argue you might be bettering yourself for the rest of the schedule if you work on the other stuff.
I mean, I still think Riley.
We all want everything. That's what we're seeing today. We all want everything. We want we want no hangover. We want to win by 1 million. You want the passing game to be perfect. You want to run it still. We all want everything this week. There you go. There. Does that cover it?
I think that covers it. I do think we're not going to sleepwalk through this game. I just don't think that team has it in them. Based on the energy that we saw last week and the kind of the fighting spirit and the in your face attitude, I think in your face and letting you know, and because of that kind of attitude, that just doesn't pair. That does not pair with being sleepy. It just doesn't. So, and then on top of that, I mean, I'm going to the game tomorrow, so I guess I can let you know how the crowd atmosphere is. But I think, and this may sound kind of silly, but I put a little bit of thought into this. I think how Freeman came out of the tunnel and how big that got, it's actually giving fans and even maybe some of the wine and cheese fans an excuse to be like, hey, it's okay to be a little rowdy, to be a little in your face, because all these past years, Notre Dame fans have been a little bit timid because it's like, do we really have a leg to stand on when it comes to
I feel
being
that.
confident in our team? And
Dude, I get that.
Do.
That makes
and now we have permission.
I like that. I totally understand that, and I think that makes perfect sense. My Pat put this in the chat, and I agree with it too. I think you're going to have a good vibe tomorrow from the crowd. That alone, I think, goes a long way to preventing the sleepy, you could hear a pin drop for a Notre Dame home game thing. I think that's just not going to happen. The fans are going to be electric. They're going to be happy to be back at Notre Dame Stadium. And what happened last week is going to fire people up. And I think that energy permeates. And I think this team is going to feed off it. And they're feeling themselves a little bit. And they know they can put up some good numbers tomorrow. And I think that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm super excited. I know I'm going to be maybe a little out of control, but that's just how I am. One thing I am scared about, and you brought up all these past games earlier, and it made me start to think. So we all remember Ball State. We all remember Toledo.
Yeah.
We all obviously remember Marshall, Stanford.
Yeah. How could
like that.
How could you forget?
And what scares me the most, I was at every single one, and now I'm contemplating.
Sell your tickets.
Am I bad luck?
Sell your tickets and go on Eddy Street. Sell your tickets to some dad and his kid to go to their first game, and you go drink at the bar. No, you're going to be fine because the circumstance, I appreciate you thinking of this problem, looking out for the whole group. But what I'm saying is the circumstances of this are so different. I just believe they are. I believe the circumstances are totally different, and there's a little edge to this team, and it's a better roster than any of those games too. And I just think we're going to be fine.
Yeah. One last thing, and then I got to get back to work. I have to push back because you said a little bit about the Marshall game, how the fan base kind of walked in there a little bit sleepy. I have to disagree. I was there, and as the game went on, there was optimism that was taken away by the team, but there was optimism and there was energy.
But you're certainly not going to. But you're certainly not going to compare that to the energy you're going to have tomorrow with the top 5 win in your pocket, right? There's no way. It can't even be anywhere. It can't even be in the same galaxy of energy and vibe when you're 0-1 with a national loss than when you're 1-0 with a national win. It's night and day, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it is different. I always think that the fans want to be excited, and it's always the team that lets them not.
Yeah.
So I guess that was more of the point I was trying to make. But in this case, I think the fans are going to be more rowdy for a lower tier team at the beginning of the year than they have been for maybe even some of the bigger games, because everyone feels it.
I'm with you. That makes perfect. Right. That's basic human nature. I think you're totally right. And again, it's what I've said I started with. When you're Notre Dame and you have a 0 in the loss column, every single game you play turns into a big game because they all matter nationally at that point. You have everything to play for in front of you. All of your dreams are in front of you. The playoffs in front of you. When Notre Dame has a 0 in the loss column, every game they play is a big game. And I believe that's totally true. And that's what turns what sometimes are sleepy home games against lower level opponents from snooze fests into a lot of fun when you got that 0 in the loss column. So every game's a big game when you're undefeated, and I love it, and I believe that, and it's going to be awesome tomorrow. I'm happy for everybody going, although going to be a little cooler than a lot of people, I think, figure. You better bring a little hoodie or something.
Yeah, I'm debating what I'm going to wear. It's my girlfriend's first big game of any sport ever, so I'm excited to go, but I'm worried she's going to be cold and then she's going to be in my ear about it the entire time. But we'll see. Real quick, and then I gotta go. About winning big. The only reason I think we as a fan base want to win big is just for our own selfish interest, because I don't actually think it does anything for us on the national stage, especially if we go 12-0. Because I mean, you look at Ole Miss blowing out Furman, and we all just roll our eyes. It doesn't do anything nationally for us to blow a team out. If anything, it makes people just roll their eyes, like, of course, why are they scheduling these teams? So I mean, just know that a win is a win first, no matter what it looks like. I know that might be a Brian Kelly attitude, but at the end of the day, a win is a win.
Winning is hard.
And then anything beyond that is just for our own self-interest.
Well,
so
see, that on that, I know you got to get running. That is kind of the big debate that I've been having all morning. Is it all depends on like how much you want to dig into this and how deep you want to look about it and how far down the road you want to look at it. Like there's this hierarchy. Just getting a win is obviously the baseline number one. How impressive it looks is another thing that you would want beyond the win. Are you working on the things we thought were weak areas, the passing game, showing you're furthering what that could be? Like there's all these checklists all underneath the umbrella of winning first. So that's what I mean when I say you have wants and you have needs. So I don't know, man, but it's going to be good. I hope you have fun there. Tell the girlfriend to wear long, jeans, not shorts or whatever. Bring a hoodie and a light jacket. It isn't going to be that cold. Come on.
Yeah, it's not going to be that cold, but I mean, you just never know. And sometimes they complain. And that's more what I'm worried about than being cold.
Well, hey, here's the other thing you can do. Drink a lot of beer before the game. You'll feel warmer. It'll be for unnatural reasons, but you'll feel warmer. Do that, my friend.
I know that might be dangerous, but yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. I'll let you know how the stadium atmosphere is. And
listen,
dude, get that win,
I am going to be really disappointed if I don't feel like it is a really excited place tomorrow. Like I'm telling you, I think it's going to be popping because everybody's so happy about last week and their return to Notre Dame Stadium. If that place is not popping tomorrow, we have a horrible fan base. I mean it. If that place isn't rocking, celebrating what we just gave home, our fans suck. It needs to be loud and proud.
Yes.
I didn't mean to yell that at you.
All I have to say.
I didn't mean to yell that at you. I'm yelling it to everybody.
No, you're good.
But your voice is,
with some of the Notre Dame fans.
Your voice is so calming.
It's the worst.
Your voice is so calming, and the way you're delivering everything is just so calm. It's really throwing me off because everything I do is like amplified. You're bringing my blood pressure down by the way you communicate, my friend. Thank you.
You need a hat that says 120/80. You should sell it on your
website. Man. Yeah, in my dreams. All right, get back to work, man. Let me know. Touch base with me after the game. Let me know how it goes. I think the girlfriend's in for a big Notre Dame victory and start out 2-0. We're off to the races, buddy. Thanks for the call.
Yes, sir. Go Irish. Stay off the blue line.
There you go. Yeah, that's a problem too. I got a 918 who's been waiting a long time. Andrew, I want to get you on. My main man, Martinez, if you want to call back, whatever, feel free. I see you've been on and off. Quick, somebody clip John saying our fans suck. I'm just telling you, if you don't get a live Notre Dame fan base, after what we just accomplished, and now you're coming back home and everyone's excited to be back in this cathedral known as Notre Dame Stadium, I don't know what we're doing. Like, you're combining the first game at Notre Dame every year, which is a big deal because all of the fans are just it warms their soul to get back in Notre Dame Stadium after the layoff since the blue and gold game. You have that natural energy. That's there every year, no matter what happens. Notre Dame's first home game, you have an increased excitement level for people being happy to take the pilgrimage back to South Bend and get back into that building. You already have that energy. Then you add in what Notre Dame did last week. If this place isn't a pretty good vibe tomorrow, it is an insult to the fan base. I don't understand how it can't be. So I'm expecting come on, dude. Crying, I don't think you mean this. I think you're just mad because Denbrock left you and your staff to come over to ours. Listen, man. I think Mike dialed up the exact kind of game plan Notre Dame needed to operate to be able to do enough offensively and get the win last week without risking losing the game by getting Riley Leonard backsided suplexed 80 times, strip sack out the wazoo from Nick Scorton, and all Shamar, whatever, all the Shamars they got that are on the defensive front that are good. I feel like Denbrock dialed up an offense that could allow Notre Dame to do just enough to do what they needed to do to win the game and limit the risk of exposure of something catastrophic happening. I feel like he tried to blend that, and he did a good job of it. And I know you weren't getting that out of Parker. You would have ran the ball right up the middle into a wall 80 times, and then on third down tried to throw it, and then punt. That's what you would have done. And there would have been no adjustments unless it was adjusting from something bad to something worse. Bad to worse. You could adjust there. So Denbrock did exactly what he needed to do. He did exactly what he needed to do. So let's see what happens on top of that. $5 holler. Just saying that not all wine and cheese people are foul balls. Vino and Formaggio, what are those, your Italian cousins? Names? What does that mean? And olive oil and hard bread, that's how I was raised, I guess. Sounds like mob nicknames to me. Oh, and there's my cousin Vino. And there's they're at the bar, the dark smoky bar. Oh, and there's my cousin, a Formaggio. Come over, a Formaggio. Oh, mangia, Formaggio. Oh, man. I'm telling you this right now. Notre Dame's going to win this game handily, and just don't get anybody hurt. Work on the things you need to work on. Get some younger guys in the mix later in the game. Geez, come on, man. Work on what you need to work on. Score a bunch of points. Make us feel good. Develop further. Listen, how much am I asking for too much? Further your comfort level with the run game and build some momentum and confidence that you can grind. I got a bunch of my family's Italians. I don't hate them. But hey, my cousin Formaggio. On the Italian people in my family, that side, it's Big Nick, Little Nick, Big Tony, Little Tony, Tony Jr., Big Nick, Nicky, Nicholas, Nick Jr., Tony, Anthony Jr., Tony Sr. I can't keep any of them straight. They're all Big Nick, Big Tony, Little Tony. I can't keep any of them straight. It's hilarious. I'm serious. Everywhere you go, is that big? Hey, it's Tony. Well, Big Tony, Little Tony, Tony Sr., Tony Jr. Which ones is it? John could be in the cast of The Godfather 4. I'm telling you, in ours, it's all Big Nick, Big Tony, Little Tony. And it cracks me up. 918, you're on the line. Andrew, you're coming up next. What's going on, 918?
Hey, John, this is Mike in Oklahoma. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really, really good, Mike. Telling you, man, Notre Dame's in a bit of a unique position, my friend. They're ahead of the curve for once. They're riding momentum for once. They have a top 5 ranking. They earned the hard way, and they're coming back home. What is not to like? We're in a good spot right now, and I'm in a good mood, and ain't nothing going to bring it down.
Hey, you want to talk about good moods?
I do.
Me and my wife walking out of that stadium Saturday night. You want to talk about a good mood?
Oh man, I'm telling you.
Let me just.
Yeah, set the scene. Set the scene. I want to know how loud it was, how intense it was. I want to know everything about that dynamic. Fill us in.
Okay, so if anybody's seen my Twitter account, it's Love the Irish 365, and I put a tweet out there about the environment and how it didn't compare to several environments that I've been in, from Dallas Cowboy games. I was at the Alabama Notre Dame game when they played Jerry's World. I've been to, obviously, dozens of Notre Dame football games. I've been in Norman. I've been in Stillwater. I've been in Arkansas. I've been at a heavyweight championship title fight. You name it, I've seen it. I've been in playoff games at Arrowhead Stadium, Chiefs against the Raiders. I've seen a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen more than what I'm speaking to. But I'm going to tell you what nobody has seen that I saw and experienced Saturday night. And I don't care if you were at Ohio State. I don't care if you were at Michigan. I don't care if you were at Alabama. I don't care if you were at LSU. I don't care where you were. Major League Baseball, pro football, college football, hockey. Nothing compares to that environment at College Station, and nothing I've ever seen with my own two eyes and my ears and my body like what we experienced Saturday night in College Station. And for anybody, and look, you Twitter trolls, go ahead, poo-poo on this all you want. I give rat's ass, pardon my French. There is no way you can discredit what Marcus Freeman and this team did Saturday night. I don't care if we did win by 35 points. I don't care if it was a last-minute field goal as time ran out. What they did Saturday night in that environment, when the whole world was against them, the whole world, everybody was picking against them. The only person that I saw that picked for them besides us, you and me, John, and a few other people, I think Lee Corso put on the little leprechaun suit on game day. So you had everything against you to go in there and do the things that Brian Kelly have done, that Charlie Weiss has done, that Kai Willingham have done. And that is to puke on a national stage, just like everybody said you were going to do. And I'll tell you, I didn't see the Marcus Freeman tunnel entrance until midweek when somebody found that video.
How did you feel? Seeing that? What did that do to you inside? I want to know.
Now that I saw that, and you add to that what happened on that field, and look, we didn't even use our full potential in my eyes. It's like you said, I think he put a perfect game, Denbrock put a perfect game plan together on offense. Don't risk what's downfield. Take what they give you, use Riley Leonard on the edges, let him do things, manage the game. That's what he did. He managed the game. Guys, I'm telling you, me and my wife had to each other's ear. It was so freaking loud. They had almost 80,000 students who were on their feet 6 minutes before the game until just under 2 minutes in that game. Late in the fourth quarter, when they played that rap song, Mo Bamba, I thought that stadium was going to fall down. And that team didn't buckle. That team didn't quit. That team played until the last play of the game. And I'm just telling you, you guys got to admire that. You got to pound your chest. You got to realize one thing. This ain't BK era no more. These aren't Jesse Bon Jovi's and God love them. These aren't Collinsworths running out there. Anybody related to Taylor Swift. These are dudes running out of that tunnel for the ultimate dude, Marcus Freeman. And if you don't think this guy's a Notre Dame guy, look, change your colors, go root for Michigan, go root for somebody else. This dude gets it. He is what, John, you have been looking for. He's what I've been looking for. This guy not only loves his program, he loves these players. And this is just the beginning. If we think that this year is a culmination of a national championship season and we fall short somehow, which I don't think we will based on what I've seen and what's coming, there's going to be a lot of these moments that we're all going to get to experience. There's going to be more of these than these Marshall letdowns. I think these Marshall letdowns are a thing of the past. As long as Marcus Freeman's here, these Marshall games are a thing of the past. These Toledo, one-offs are a thing of the past. These Tulsa devastating losses with devastating consequences, the week of. These things are gone. These are things that will not happen on Marcus Freeman's watch. Now that he's got it, I think he's got this university behind him. He now has the fan base behind him. And most importantly, he has his players behind him. And there are recruits across the country that are seeing what's going on. They're going to look at that video. They're going to add it to when he came in the locker room his first day. They're going to put all that together, and they're going to start beating down that door to find a spot on his roster.
Telling you, you just cut one hell of a promo on a Friday morning, my friend. I love it. That's a great promo on a Friday morning. I love it. That was beautiful, man. And it is interesting to hear. It isn't exaggerated. It really was that wild in there, huh? It was really that loud and raucous.
It was. I'll tell you. We were sitting in section 343 in the upper deck. John, I'm not kidding. We kept looking at each other, and we were like, "Is this stadium secure?" I mean, it was literally shaking at kickoff all the way till 2 minutes at the end of the game. And I got to hand it to Texas A&M. They've got it down pat down there. Yeah, those chants and stuff are cringe. It's kind of funny. I was giving the Johnny Manziel rubbing of the fingers back and forth to the kids because we were literally sitting in the student section. There's, like I said, there's 80,000 of them, and they go top level, bottom level from one side all the way to the other. So you were not going to sit in the student section if you were on that side of the stadium where we were. But, we were giving that. But I tell you what, I was at the Ohio State game last year, and there were some dudes from Ohio State. You could tell that if this was Oakland, if this was a Raider game, those dudes would be throwing fists. Not at A&M. Very classy crowd all the way through and through, coming in, leaving. I mean, they've even said, there's people have wrote some articles about how great the fans were and stuff like that. And I kind of gave it back to them and said, you guys' environment was electric. The fans were courteous, football knowledgeable, just everything. Just hands down, it was a great right now. Of course, I'm beating my chest because it felt better that we came in there and won the football game. And that made everything a lot better. Even the drive back to Dallas, and we didn't get back till 3:00 in the morning at Dallas. Didn't matter. I mean, I got a grin ear to ear. My decked out truck, Rudy, with the Notre Dame flags and all the Notre Dame gear all around. And she was shined up to go down there, and she was twice as shiny leaving that stadium.
Man, I love it.
It was a great weekend.
I love it. And I got to tell you what I like specifically about this dynamic is with you in particular. There's a lot of Notre Dame fans in Northern Indiana. There's a lot of Notre Dame fans in the greater Chicagoland, Illinois area, or whatever. We need more people like you spread out all over, willing to represent, go to these games and represent us that aren't in that immediate Notre Dame adjacent area, man. I really love it. You did a hell of a promo you just cut up. I do feel like things are changing. There's a different vibe building now. It's exactly what we needed. Anything on the way out, my friend? A final thought about tomorrow? Good call. Thank you.
Yeah. So tomorrow, what we're going to see is, I think we are going to see, as you said, I think we're going to see an opening up of the passing game. They're probably going to use Mitchell Evans a little bit more. We'll see a little bit more downfield. Hopefully we see Chris Mitchell, the transfer kid from FIU. Hopefully we'll see him in somehow, with phase on out now mixed in the offense. But what I want as an end result, I want to see a minimum of a 21 to 28 point spread. I want to see 500 yards of offense, a little mixture. I want to see 300 passing, close to 200 running. And for God's sakes, look, I know the environment was what it was. And last year we had some of this problem with discipline and penalties. We got to get that corrected. We got to work on that the next few weeks. We got to work on that discipline factor.
Yeah. How much of that? No, listen, I think a bunch of that was the noise, the environment combined with week one of the first week, everybody working together, combined with the noise and the chaos of the environment. If they don't cut that down by like 80% at home tomorrow, then that's going to be a red flag to me. I sincerely expect that to be reduced to a minimum tomorrow. The excitement of the moment and being over kind of anxious combined with the noise, and it's hard to communicate. I'm putting that on a lot of that. In the week one, you're not as tight as you're going to be week one. Moving on, I'm with you. They need to tighten that up a lot. Hey, really, really good call to start our weekend here, buddy. Thanks a lot. That was great.
Absolutely, John. Hey, we're coming to the Miami, Ohio game, so hopefully we can hook up during the tailgate. We can kind of meet.
Well, what do you mean, hopefully? What do you mean? What do you mean, hopefully? Make it what you're doing for the day. We got food. We got drinks. You're going to have all the people from the chat. You're going to know half these people. Come on over.
Absolutely. I look forward to meeting Pat, too. I gotta shake that guy's hand.
Oh, yeah. Pat.
Stuff that he goes through and puts you through.
Pat's going to have that cigar going all day, baby. You'll smell them when you get off the toll road. Let's roll, baby. Have a good one. Take care.
Absolutely. You too, John. Thank you.
Oh, what a promo that guy cut. Here's the thing about Evans. By the way, Pat, I found a really fancy cigar in one of my boxes, totally sealed up. Like, I think it's fresh, and it's a nice, big, fat cigar, Pat. You can have it. I'm not going to smoke it. If you want it, you could have it. Don't ask me the name, some fancy seal brand on it that somebody gave me. I don't know if it's still going to be good, but it's been totally sealed, never messed with, but it has not been in like a humidifier contraption or anything, but it's totally sealed, and it looks fancy. Got a big brand name logo thing on it. I don't know. It ain't no Swisher Sweet. And it ain't no Swisher Sweet. And it isn't one of my Black and Milds from college with the plastic tip. It ain't one of those, okay? Here's the thing about Evans. He ain't healthy yet. Evans, he only played a handful of snaps, and most of them were on third and long. It wouldn't surprise me if you don't see him again until Louisville. It would not surprise me if you don't see him again until Louisville, because they may not feel like they need to risk it, and they're going to want him back for that game. So I don't know what. And the other thing is Faison. Like, I'm telling you guys, I don't know what you think when these, for the 90th time, I don't understand why so many fans believe what coaches say in their press conferences. A part of the job is to deflect and not reveal everything going on in the program. That is a part of the job. I'll believe it when I see it. On when's Faison going to be out there running around again? You're talking about a week or two. I don't know if that's eye ankle sprain. I don't know what they're calling it. That could be another one where, are you going to have that guy back by Louisville or not? I don't know. Andrew, what's going on a Notre Dame Friday, buddy?
Hey, what's up, John? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing very well. Andrew, I just feel like tomorrow's kind of a new experience for Notre Dame in the Freeman era in a way, man. You're in a little bit of a different spot. And I expect the energy to be good, and I expect us to play good.
Yeah. Well, first off, I just want to say I like that previous caller, because I don't know about you. Sports talk radio is sort of died, and I feel like it's too bad, because I kind of grew up into sports talk radio. That's why I like your show so much, and that's sort of a classic sports talk radio call.
Yeah, it was good. I like the energy, and it was so genuine. That's the other, it was coming right from that guy's soul. Like, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I like the fact that he's not local. That means something to me. We need people with that kind of Notre Dame energy that aren't in Northern Illinois, Indiana, or in the Chicago area. I love that. Give me more.
Definitely. Well, hey, so the way I look at this game is because Notre Dame beat A&M, I sort of look at the season as it's a 3, maybe 4 game season now. And so, like, it comes down to Louisville. I probably would circle the Georgia Tech game, because it's the first time Notre Dame will have left the state of Indiana in like over a month. So like you gotta shake off some cobwebs for that game. And then, you'd have to expect Florida State will figure something out to give us some sort of game later on in the year. And then, of course, at USC. So the rest of the games are really more, I feel like if Notre Dame is legitimately going to be a legitimate playoff contender, not just make the playoffs and we're happy to be there, the rest of these games should just be, glorified scrimmages. And I look at NIU as what I hope to gain out of this game is more snaps for the offensive line to gel, because again, it's a really, really young line. You hope that the wide receivers come out and limit the mental mistakes. Like, I don't know about you, John. They made a bunch of mental mistakes on Saturday. There were a couple balls where, like, if Faison were to break the correct direction, he probably has like a 40-yard gain on that one out route that Leonard threw. And then if Jeremiah Love turns the right way in the end zone, he probably catches a touchdown. So you hope to clean that stuff up, but you hope to do it without having to show anything. Because, like, why show anything special against NIU? Like, I hope to get through these next 2 weeks, even at Purdue, where the crowd's going to be, probably pretty fired up next week. I hope to just have the game over by halftime, get Leonard out of the game, and really just make this a truly a 3 or 4 game season. So,
Andrew, I don't want to. It's very, very dangerous to look ahead once you get into the season. I want to recognize that that's kind of reckless. I personally think it is a huge benefit to Notre Dame that Purdue game is during the day and not at night at their place. It is a different place to play there at night, even in that little building. I've seen weird things happen. What they did to Ohio State that one Thursday night where they blew them out, like whatever. I think it's a big benefit to Notre Dame that game's in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, but I still think it's going to be a big game next week because it will present some challenges just because Purdue played like a really terrible FCS team the first week. And then they get a bye week this week. So, I mean, if I was Purdue's coach, wouldn't you be prepping for Notre Dame the entire offseason? I mean, this is your time to come out and play. So, like, I think they're going to present some challenges to us.
Yeah.
I don't take them very, very seriously.
God, I don't want to talk about Purdue. I don't want to talk about Purdue when we have another game to play. But here's the other issue, Andrew, since we're on the topic. Tell me if you've thought of this. The persistent danger I see with Purdue is the fact that no matter what, I feel like Purdue's going to want to – it's a bigger game to play Notre Dame for Purdue than it is for Notre Dame to look at Purdue. Does that make sense? Like, the way they look at us, like, as far as biggest games of the year on the schedule is going to be much different than the way Notre Dame fans and Notre Dame looks at Purdue. That is the danger to me. I think they look at Notre Dame way different than we look at them, and I just think that's a dangerous dynamic.
Well, I guess the way I look at it is that we didn't play a perfect game against A&M, but to me, they showed me enough that I think maybe this team could be something. So I'm sorry, Purdue is sort of a bottom-dwelling, Big Ten team. I'm not. If we come out and potentially lose to Purdue, that does concern me. I kind of look at this season as what Michigan was last year. I mean, Michigan didn't strap up and really start to actually play any serious competition until October. And I feel like, and really, if you look at the scores that Michigan put up last year, they didn't blow out those bad teams nearly as much as they could. I think their goal was just to run up the score in the first half and get their quarterback out. And I really think that should be our goal the next couple of weeks. Just get some nice leads and then, take Leonard out of the game. We need Leonard healthy for
Andrew.
For Louisville.
All right. Yes or no? Do we see enough in the passing game tomorrow against Northern Illinois to make you feel good and like you got a lot of really good, strong work in? Like, that's one of the things I'm looking for. Obviously, the offensive line needs as many snaps in the run and pass game together as they could possibly get. But I would like to feel after the game like, okay, I feel better about this passing game and where it could be based on what I saw. I'm really hoping that's a big part of what they want to accomplish tomorrow.
Well, what I'm looking for in the passing game is just the wide receiver and quarterback to be on the same page. Like, if we're having to bust out Denbrock's like extensive playbook to score on NIU, I think that's concerning. They should just be able to run their base offense, have Chris Mitchell run by a few people and score a touchdown. You get what I'm saying? Like, if we're having to bust out like these special like bubble screens and just like stuff that shows that we're sort of laboring to get wide receivers open, I think that's telling. But if we're just running like, running past people, actually turning the right way when the ball's thrown to them, then I think that's a good time. But I really am not going to take away anything from Leonard's stat line. He should have 200 yards passing in the first half. Or, I mean, hey, who cares? Like this O-line needs to gel. So maybe it is a good thing if we just go out and run the ball, go up 28-0 and then call it. Cause it's just like, does it prove anything to throw for 400 yards against NIU?
It makes me feel better. Yeah. Is that a fair answer, Andrew? It makes me, how about that as an answer? It would make John feel better in his basement. How about like I'm being completely honest. Like when you're looking at this and the areas of the team that I'm still like concerned about, it would make Johnny Boy feel better to see them throw it around well. How about that as an answer? It's as honest as I could be.
Yeah, I think it definitely would make me feel better, but I think Notre Dame and Michigan are very similar rosters. Like Michigan had a much better defensive front than us, but I think we have a better secondary. And I just think that if you just remember last year, it was so telling how J.J. McCarthy was literally not even wearing his shoulder pads in the second half last year, early on in the season. So It's like, I think I'd rather that. Just go up. I don't really care, like, what the stat lines look like. Just show total dominance. Let this offensive line gel a little bit. But I even would like it if this offensive line gets out in the second half too, because I think about like who's behind Anthony Knapp. Who's behind the right tackle Wagner. Like I think you need to get guys like Lambert and other tackles some playing time just in case something were to happen. So I look at this is totally a scrimmage type game. If it's anything more than that, I think you've got to be a little concerned about the offense. But I don't even really care what the final score is. Because like I watched, I remember last year I watched Michigan UNLV, and UNLV was actually a very good Group of 5 team. They were the best team in the Mountain West last year, other than Boise. And Michigan just absolutely dominated them. They were up 28-0 at half, and J.J. McCarthy came out with didn't even have his shoulder pads on. So that's what I'm hoping for tomorrow. And then I think Purdue will probably give us a little bit more of a game next week. So
yeah, it's it's going to be interesting. But you know what, man? I'm very excited to tune in and see them show Notre Dame Stadium on the TV again for the first time this year. Everybody's in a good mood. The vibes are good. Like this is going to should be a good Notre Dame weekend, man. Yeah. You're just, this is the a checklist of things you want to get better at, but you feel good about it. Should be a good Notre Dame weekend.
And I just wanted to end on that, like, because I was at the Toledo game a couple years ago.
Oh, congratulations. I'm happy for you. Hope it was fulfilling.
I know. I actually went to a few games that year, but I think it's totally different. I think that there was a lot of complacency on the part of Notre Dame fans. Like, Brian Kelly was basically winning 9, 10, 11 games a year. We had just come off being a playoff team the year before. We were deep into his tenure, and I think he lost a little bit of luster toward the end there with the fan base. Now, the last 2 years have been sort of disappointing years, and so that I think as a Notre Dame fan, the fear was we're going to tip back to mediocrity potentially if we don't do something big. And so the A&M win means so much, and I have to expect the fan base will be fired up because it's new. It feels different.
Yep.
To the previous caller's point, like Notre Dame looks more athletic as a team, and so I think that should get people excited. So I'd be shocked if
me too.
The fans were complacent.
Yeah. I'm totally with you there. So let's hope for a big win, get some work in, stay healthy, and then we get to relax and watch some other football the rest of the night, man. That's the plan. So Andrew, enjoy your weekend.
Who do you have? Who do you have? Michigan, Texas. I'll take it off the air, but yeah,
I think Texas.
Yeah.
Texas, because I just think Michigan's not what they've been, and they're waiting for the bubble to pop. And I think if I saw correctly last night, the line keeps going up, favoring Texas more and more over the hours. Maybe that's changed today, but I saw it was like 5 something. Then it went to 7.5 certain places. So it seems like the market's trending to Texas as well. That's what I think, but it's going to be interesting.
Totally. Yeah, it should be a fun game. Have a good one, John.
Have a good one. Yep. Take care, man. Have a good one. 309, you're up on the line. What's going on? Welcome.
Hey, John, man, we got a great lineup of callers here. Holy cow.
Man, I'm telling you, the energy is right. For once in Notre Dame land, the energy is good. I can hear it in people's voices. I could feel it. This program needed exactly what happened last week. The whole program needed it, man. The fans needed it. The recruiting operation needed it. Freeman needed it. The team needed it. It's exactly what we needed, 100%, and we got it. And I'm just ecstatic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was thinking about what I said last week when I called in before the game, and I said that I wanted to focus on what could go right. And, looking back at this game, reflecting on it, man, so much did go right. And I think there's so many little things that went right that we're not even talking about. I mean, how about Mitch Jeter coming out there and boom, just hitting it? I mean, everything felt very smooth. Everything felt very good. The young linebackers, that was a concern going in. Okay, what are they going to look like? But even when Kaiser wasn't out there, the young linebackers looked good. I mean, there were just so many things that went right.
Yep.
And this, like you said, this is new territory where it's like, I obviously I don't want this to be a Ball State 2018 situation, something like that, or the Toledo game. But as the previous caller has said, I think that this is different. Like it just feels different. You can see it's different. The level of athlete is different. The level of intensity is different. And man, I'm just so excited. I honestly haven't even really looked into NIU that much this weekend, just because I'm still riding the high from last weekend, and that speaks to how confident I am in this regime, in Freeman, and in Denbrock, that I'm not even thinking about. I'm not worried about what this weekend could be. And I mean, when the line's 28.5, 30 points, it's like obviously that gives you some confidence too. But from here on out, this is the great thing about the way the schedule sets up is every week you don't have to be world beaters.
Yeah.
You just have to show up when it matters, week 4, week 5. And then finally, honestly, another reason I'm so glad USC beat Crying Belly down there at LSU was that now think about how much bigger this USC game could be. We could be looking at a 2012-esque season where obviously that USC wasn't that important. But when was the last time that we had a big cap to the year out at SC with a good USC team?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, there's just so many things that are setting up that could be a very, very fun year.
Dude, it is one of the top things I am waiting to see is USC looked better than what I thought they would look week 1. The quarterback looked much better than I expected him to be week 1. And I need to see how they look navigating this Big Ten. That is the unknown with them. Is I admit they looked better than I thought they would. The quarterback looked better. What are they going to do in this Big Ten week-to-week schedule before we head out there Thanksgiving weekend? It is a big question. So it is. I am really intrigued.
And I love the way this sets up, because if we were catching this USC team when they're kind of on fire, middle of the year, I would feel a little bit different. But we're going to see exactly the team we're going to go into that game knowing exactly who they are, which gives Golden and Denbrock everything they need.
Yeah. Man, I mean, there's so much football to be played, but thinking about that USC Notre Dame matchup, if both teams are in the playoff chase or in seeding position, oh man, that's going to be interesting. But we got a long way to go, and I got to see them navigate that Big Ten before I book that. As for tomorrow, what are you looking to see from Notre Dame? What's going to make you feel good?
Yeah. I think the one thing that I talked about with the Texas A&M game last week that I didn't see, which I would love to see this weekend, I think we will see, is just more down the field shots. I think maybe it was the third or fourth quarter where Riley Leonard hit Cooper Flanagan on like a 15, 20-yard pass. And I just felt like finally with something besides a 5-yard out or a curl route to Mitchell, something like that. And it's just, I want to see them take some downfield shots. Let's see, open it up, hit somebody, but let's open it up a little bit. And I understand that, you just have to do what you have to do to win the game against A&M. But in order for this team to be, the best it can be, you're going to have to develop somebody who can take the top off. You're not going to make any sort of movement against these good teams. down the road if you can't take the top off.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing I think Notre Dame needs to prove they're going to be able to do. And that's the other thing I want people to start thinking about. You're in this playoff. Notre Dame's going to have to win 4 games. You are not going to navigate that successfully if you have major weaknesses. You are not going to be able to navigate that. It's not like the BCS where you just need to win 1 game and you could kind of like do it. 4 games, you're going to have to be very, very well-rounded and be able to do everything decently well. If you cannot throw the ball at all, you're not running that 4-game gauntlet. Forget about it. You have to be a well-rounded team. That's something I'm looking at.
Right.
Get better at it.
Right. Speaking of having an elite unit or things like that, I thought it was funny. I'm a big Josh Pate fan. I watch his show. I think he's committed to he just loves college football.
Yeah.
Anybody who loves college football, I love them. So, but it was funny when he made that kind of passing comment. He corrected himself, but that passing comment about how Notre Dame doesn't have an elite unit. He said he was talking about on the offense, which that's okay. But he did correct himself because that secondary is 100% elite. But even with the offense, it's like, I think an argument could be made that this running back room is elite. This running back room is championship caliber. I think you can make that argument.
Yeah. Oh, they are for sure. But are you going to get the blocking you need to go with it in every game? Are you going to have a passing game that balances it out, opening things up for them, right? Like that. Those are the things that I think about. So there's a lot to improve on, and there's a lot of reasons for excitement. I think the energy is going to be good, and I expect the team to play pretty good. I just do.
Right. Yeah. And Knapp. Everything that I've seen from Knapp, just easy guy to root for, a guy you want to succeed, and a guy that the staff clearly has faith in. And And man, just excited for this weekend and keep things rolling.
Yeah, it should be good, man. Let's get to 2-0, do good, look good doing it, have no injuries, and keep it moving into a big Purdue game. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you.
Yep, that's right. Yep,
have a good one. Oh, let's do my main man, Martinez, is going to round out the show for us today. Last call of the day, Martinez. Glad I got you in, buddy. What's up?
What's up, buddy? I'm sorry I'm going to hold you up a little bit.
No, that's good. That's good. I wanted to get you on. You got to have your piece before we head into the game. What's up?
Yeah, like I said, Freeman said it best when he got up at the press conference that Monday. He said, they won 7 out of their last 9 against the Big 4 conference opponents. You know what I mean? So, the one good thing that I think Freeman has, like how he says, and if you watch that, the Here Come the Irish, he said, well, he went around to these NFL teams and they all preach, last play's over, new plays. Let go of, like, for example, you pick or you fumble or you miss a tackle, let that go, you know what I mean? And focus on the play that's coming up, So I'm glad that he jumped into the press conference, focused and said, NIU has won 7 out of their last 9 against big time opponents. You know what I mean? Because Johnny, no disrespect, but Illinois football is dog shit. I mean, you got the Illinois Fighting Illini, and who else? NIU is probably the best team in Illinois in the past 10 years. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, it's not a great football state. There's not a ton of talent, top-end talent that comes out here. Outside of the city, there's a handful of guys, but I don't know, man. What do you want to see from us? I want to see us throw the ball a little bit.
Yeah, Johnny, that's exactly like I told you, I want to see them see if they can go downfield, Dick Ryder, Kirk Herbstreit to the SEC, made a comment like that. Riley Leonard really didn't go down too much. 20-plus yards at Duke. So I want to see if Riley Leonard could chuck it down a little bit, you know what I mean? And open up that big pass game, for big yardage. So, like, he made a comment like that he really didn't go too much beyond 20 yards, and that, Andrew Luck didn't do that much either, but he was a hell of a productive quarterback for Stanford. You know what I mean? I think Andrew Luck had 20 passes that were beyond 20 yards his whole high school career. So, I want to see it go down a little bit, open up the pass game a little bit more. I want to see Eli Raridan get in a little bit more.
You know what I mean? To get him kind of ready. And who's the other tight end again?
Who? Raridan, Evans, and Raridan, and Flanagan. Those are they've been running out there, right?
Flanagan.
Yeah.
Flanagan. Yeah, I want to see Flanagan get a few more catches in, man. You know what I mean? I want to see, and that's it. And just like some of the other callers said, man, see this O-line gel a little bit together more and get that experience. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited, man. It's a Notre Dame game. Shit. It's against the best team of Illinois. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited about it, man. How can I not get excited to watch the Irish,
Yeah, it's going to be, man, and the excitement needs to build. It just needs to keep building. And every time you're undefeated and you win another week, the excitement for the next game builds no matter who you're playing. That's the beautiful thing about being undefeated and mattering. Every single week is a big week as long as you keep that 0 and you keep playing like a hero. That's what I need.
Exactly. So let me ask you something. What are you thinking? What do you think? You think we're going undefeated? What games other than this one?
Man.
Because like I said, I don't want to. I'm with you. I don't want to look too far. I want to take one game at a time.
Notre Dame's going to be favored in every game. Notre Dame's going to be favored in every game they play from now on, I believe. Unless maybe if USC ran the table undefeated and then you go out there at the end of the year, maybe that changes. But I don't know if I see them doing that. I'm not sure LSU is the best gauge because I'm not sure how to gauge LSU this year either. So I'm not sure what you're going to get out of that. But my thought was, if you win week 1, I thought 12-0 is more likely than anything else. And if you lost week 1, I thought 9-3 was more likely than 11-1 or 10-2. I think it's that big of a dramatic swing. I'm serious. It's that big of a dramatic swing in my mind, I think.
No, and I think so too. I think this game, like, if we, like I said to you, we would have lost, they would have ridiculed us and that we're overrated and why we even relevant. But we won. So these dick riders, they want to have it both ways. But no, yeah, I agree. It was definitely a tone setter for the season. And I don't want to look too far ahead, but like I said, I think Louisville, the sleeping giant. I think Georgia Tech with Ungalale, man, definitely going to be a challenge coming up. I don't want to look, like I said, too far ahead because Northern Illinois does, they do bring their football, man. They've had some good football there the last.
The danger there is. It's Northern Illinois coming into Notre Dame Stadium. This is their big opportunity. This is always the danger with the game like this. This is their big opportunity on NBC to have the big stage and ruin somebody's life. Like, you cannot underestimate. You cannot underestimate how important that is to shut down early. This is their chance on national TV to be seen. You gotta shut it down, and then we move forward.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Johnny. And I'm not gonna take up too much more time. The only thing I'm hoping for is that we don't play down to their talent. You know what I mean? Because like I'm like I said, these kids like Northern Illinois, they're tough, man. I've watched them. They're tough. They're the best team in Illinois as far as college football goes. But like I said, I hope we don't play down to their tempo because, like the last caller said, we got tons of talent on every side of the ball, man. Like we really do. I tell you, that Jalen Sneed, man, I'm really, really waiting for him, man, to wake up, man. And I really think he's a sleeping monster, man. I really do, man. And so I just really hope that we don't play down to their talent like we kind of did to Cal, and to Marshall, and those were disasters. I mean, even Cal, Johnny,
yeah,
the refs messed up on that call.
Yeah, Cal was bad too. Cal was bad too. You escaped it, but that was an ugly one too. Man, you're just making me. Oh, I don't even want to think about any of this. Oh,
no, Johnny. You know what? Let's enjoy Saturday, man. Let's come out with the victory, man. And Johnny, man, thank you for everything. Thank you for the platform. Thank you for our voices, man. For real, I know I'm always thanking you, but I can't thank you enough, man. For real, because. Like I just can't, man, because I love listening to all the other guys. And Dr. John, man, he owns those novelty lingerie and boutique stores, man. I know he does. I know he does.
Oh man, hey, I appreciate the kind words, and let's keep on winning, keep on looking good, keep the energy up. Have a good weekend, man. Enjoy the football.
Right on, brother. Onward, Notre Dame.
Have a good one. Oh man, what a good way to end the program. All right, you guys. That's going to be it. Going to record a Patreon pregame with Goolsby here in a little bit. So we're going to get that out. We're kind of a day behind on Patreon because of the holiday and the game Monday night. We're kind of a day behind. So we're going to get caught up with a pregame special on that over there. Thanks again to everybody who was on the Patreon live stream asking my questions, stuff like that. We're going to keep doing that. It's a beautiful thing. But thanks for being here. Thanks for the comments. Like Pat said, we are going to have a contingent. I'm not going to be able to be there. Content obligations. But there's going to be an Always Irish group at the Purdue game representing us. Yeah, Chesty, that is gonna post today. So as soon as we get it recorded in the next few hours, hopefully, I will post it live. So you'll have the rest of tonight and tomorrow morning before the show to be able to get the pregame in on the Patreon. Yeah, the OnlyFans content too. So I'll have to record some of that and then we'll get that posted before the end of the day. Thanks for your calls. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for the community. I love it. It's a beautiful thing. And then you know where to be. Find us after the game here. Give me a call. Have a good one.